Oh shit! The elf just took over the set. Shit's about to get live. Let's go!
Alright, am I recording? Let me get a sound check from you right quick. Just say a little something. Oh, I'll do a sound check. Okay.
Yes.
Check it out. This is live right now. I haven't even done the sound check because I really want to get a very honest thing from myself and my man right here that got a certain energy. Now, the thing is that there's a lot of people you'll see me interview on the channel, and you'll see that some of the interviews I just say like, hey, what's up? This is a guy. Sometimes I say, yo, this is a really interesting guy. This is someone that I'm super duper excited to do this interview, right? Yeah, like Matthew Ho from Green Party. What is he in Pennsylvania or something like that? I forgot exactly what state he was, but or Mark Mixon, right? I like him too. There was someone from Workers World, right? Yeah, I have some high quality people that I have on my online actives interview channel. So the thing is that, right, one of the things that we have some real business we taking care of. Me and Keith have been working on some stuff for a while. We have some real deep business to work on. But one of the things I like to do is I like to get to know the person as a person, right? Yeah, so I like to ask about the backstory, stuff like that. But the thing is that we have vital information. I know you got a lot on your mind. Holy shit, shit is blowing the fuck up right now. You don't. So, you know what I mean? Like, if that, I want to take it. Where do you want to take it? You know what I mean? So from here, right? It's yours. It's up to you, bro. You can decide, right? Maybe you have this stuff because that shit is on my mind. You know what I mean? But also, I also would get a benefit from the context. I think my viewers would get the benefit context for those fucking 2 viewers that are watching fucking both in order, right? Yeah? Who will watch your interview about your personality first and get to understand you as a person, and then move on to, with that understanding perspective, then move on to the interview with a more full picture. And I want that too. You get what I mean? I know a little bit about you, but I still don't know your real story yet. You get what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm down to take it whatever direction you want to.
Okay. So
I'm fine going into my background a little bit because I'm not. One of the things that we've bonded over is like political organization over the last half a year, maybe a little bit longer.
I'm putting my headphones on. I want to make sure this is quality. There's a chance there's reverb on this shit. I want to take that out. This is live. I wanted to make sure that this shit was. I wanted to just ask him right there and let him choose. You know, I wanted y'all to see that happening in real time. This is 100%.
Like Bill Riley, we're gonna figure it out and do it live, right?
I don't watch as much O'Reilly, but I think Bill O'Reilly was, interestingly enough, a high school teacher before he became that, as was Saddam Hussein. Interesting correlation there, right? You're a high school teacher. Who knows what they're going to become? It could be crazy, right? Anyways, yeah. So, first of all, we did get together with the organizing, right? A lot of respect to you on your work there. So the thing is that, first of all, I usually start off with a question like, let me think. Okay, so first of all, let's have you introduce yourself. Right? I don't even know if my audience knows who you are yet, right? So, who are you,
sure.
Right? I'll let you. This is DGL7 show. You know the deal. I'll let you introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Keith Frank. Live in the Capital District area of New York. I'm almost 40 years old, so I've had a lot of different jobs in my life. But most recently, I've worked, and I still do work in the field with adults that have intellectual and developmental disabilities. So during the week, I'm in a residential group home setting with 8 adults in one house, and then 6 in another that have all sorts of different needs of care and support to get them through their lives and to help advocate for them to have the best life they can with as much independence as they can. So that's my primary focus. And
how'd you get into that field? Right? Most people say, "Oh, I want to be a lawyer, doctor, policeman, fireman." Right? Yeah. Who says I want to work in intellectual disabilities? That's very. So how'd you get there? Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit longer of a story, but so right out of high school, like when I was 16, 17, 18, started working retail jobs, working at local supermarkets, started working at Staples, went to Walmart, Home Depot. So by the time I was 24, I already had 8 years of experience in retail. So like I started out as like a bagger, and when I finished at Home Depot, I was a front end supervisor. So like not quite management level, but not really like low level supervisor either. Like it was this weird position that was like above the front end, like all the service desks, all the cashiers, counting money, training, stuff like that. So when I was doing that job, it kind of hit me that I wanted to do something a little bit more creative. So in high school, we got our first computer, because like I said, I'm 40. So like I was like 96, 97, I got my first computer. I kind of got interested in how web pages were made. So I started messing around with it. I got web HTML for Dummies book, back when the Dummies books were like a huge thing. I'm sure they're still around, but taught myself how to build web pages and, wanted to do that as my career. So never went to school for it. Just decided to leave Home Depot and make it happen. My first client was my barber, right? So like this guy that I've been going to cut my hair every couple of weeks since I was like 15. I was like, hey, I know you don't have a website, so why don't we just exchange a website for a haircut? So,
okay.
My first website, like I didn't even get paid for it except for haircuts. And, from him, I got his brother who was a contractor who knew people that did windows, who knew people that did landscaping. And then, started to build clients in the area. And one of the things that I started to get into online were message boards. So, back in the day, like there's bulletin boards. I mean, they still exist, but like they're not as important. Like not a lot of people don't use them anymore, but there's Envision board, there's PHPBB and V bulletin. Like those are the three big ones. And I became really good at customizing Envision power boards to match websites. And the company that developed the power boards brought me on as a contractor to develop forums for some of their clients. So I was building forums to match the websites of NHL teams and NFL teams. So like I did like the Falcons and the Islanders.
So when I was telling you about like Wix and stuff, you were just like, "Shut up, motherfucker!" Right?
Yeah. So like
I didn't even know.
So,
That's hilarious. Okay. That's cool. You're mad low key. I respect that though. That's your style. I get
so
that.
yeah. So I was building the official forums for all of the teams in the AFC
Dope.
for the NFL.
All right.
I was doing it for all the teams in NHL, and then Envision got a contract with Sony EMI. So I started doing forums for like Katy Perry, Janet Jackson.
That's dope as shit. Holy fuck. All
yeah.
right.
So I've done a whole bunch.
All right.
So I've done a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Oh
and
shit. All right.
one of the highlights of that is I actually got to talk to Janet Jackson on the phone.
Cool, man.
Because at the time she had a new album come out, and her whole website got redesigned to match the album cover.
Oh,
So the whole forum got redesigned to match the website and the album cover.
Damn, respect.
And she had like
All
three or four like ghost accounts. I don't know if I'm blowing up her spot. I mean, like it was 20 years ago. Like who cares,
Yeah.
right? No spoilers at 20 years on, but she had like 3 or 4 ghost accounts that she would go on and interact with her fans on the forum and just like chit chat with people and like feel connected to her fan base.
Yeah.
And she wanted to just thank the person who helped put it together. So I got on a phone call with her for about 5 or 6 minutes, and she just thanked me for how nice it looked and how everybody loved the site and how much it meant to her to interact with her fans directly. So I really took that to heart. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah, people say the celebs don't look. They look. I know.
Oh, they look.
Because I've been around some of them too. Yeah, they look. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
That's true. All right. That's dope as shit. I had no idea. Oh my god. Does anybody else know this about you?
I don't know.
To find out. That's
Yeah, they're
great.
about to find out. Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
Damn. All right, cool. All right. Holy shit.
Yeah,
All
so I did that from 2004 up until 2014, somewhere around there, 10 years. And I just got, there's a dark period of my life where my grandmother died, and she was like my best friend, right? So it hit me hard because it was the first loss in my life as an adult.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know how to cope with it. And then shortly after that, my father had a heart attack. Then my cat that I had for 20 years dies. And then the next summer, my mother dies. So it was like all these like big events in my life that I wasn't like emotionally prepared to handle. And I went into a depression. So I lost 2 years of my life to depression. And my sister got a job with this organization that helps adults with disabilities, right? And every time I talked to her, like the work seemed hard, but she always seemed very happy. Like just to have that impact on somebody's life, just to have that positive influence and helping them advocate for themselves and increasing their independence. And she was like, you would be awesome at this job.
I think
And
I'm looking at a job in disabilities myself right now because my man works with the New York Adapt. So actually, I'm taking a very similar path. That's crazy. Yo, man, that's crazy. That's
So, yeah, so,
that's crazy. That's cool. I like that.
Coming out of depression, I went to therapy, got through it, and got a job there, and that's where I've been the last 6 years. I went like climbed the ranks, started as a direct support professional, and somebody who's just like working the shifts, like doing the stuff with the people. Then went up to assistant manager, program manager.
Hell
I
yeah.
left the
I could tell.
agency,
Yeah,
worked
'cause
somewhere else,
yeah, it's fulfilling. You
and
want to
I was
do it.
working.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, and plus, like already in the retail market, you already like someone who kind of likes to do stuff and make things happen. So it's just more interesting doing shit. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. You could be bored
yeah.
all day
So
and complain
then,
about shit, or you can just do exciting shit and try to do. Why not? Right? I get that.
so one of the things that I was big on, and I still am, is community integration. So like getting them out into the community to like
Hmm.
interact with the people that live around them.
Hell
Even
yeah.
if it's just going to like Dunkin' Donuts or something, like
Hell
going
yeah.
in and talking to the cashier, talking to the people that are sitting there, and
Yeah.
that led to a new job where I was helping people get gainful employment. So I was an employment support
Damn.
professional.
All right.
All these titles are crazy to me, but like, yeah, I was an employment support professional. I'd help people write resumes. I do on-site job training and skills growth, so people could have gainful employment and eventually get their own apartments and stuff. Right. So get them out of a group home setting
Yeah.
and get them to be
Self-sufficiency.
even
We
more
all want that.
independent.
Freedom. Freedom. Yeah.
So then COVID hit, and you're not going to take this vulnerable population out into the community while there's a pandemic going on. So that
Right.
job morphed into something else that I wasn't really too crazy about. I left them and went back to the original agency I was with, and I found a job where I'm basically a secretary for the organization. So the way all the group homes make their money is through Medicaid billing. Like we provide services for the people that live there,
Right.
and we bill Medicaid for those services we provide. So all of that depends on really well-defined paperwork that is organized and available to like trace your record. So my job day to day is just maintaining that record keeping in the two programs that I work at. It's cool too because I'm in this admin role, but I still get to interact with the people that live there. I still get to go out and do fun things with them in the community. I just don't have to do like showers and medication and stuff, like
Yeah.
some of the harder tasks that are involved there, but like I still have the benefit of being a good impact on their life. So it's a really good fit because I've got time to come home and spend the afternoon with my son and do what else I want to do. But it's just a blessing to me to have found this line of work.
Yeah. I get
In
that.
high school, I didn't even know something like this existed. Like I don't even know how I would have came to this path otherwise, but I'm glad that I found it.
So that's your career,
then,
right? And it's somewhat related to advocacy, right? But I want you to talk about now, right? Because this is really an activist-related channel, right? This is a channel by activists for activists. So what are you really, what kind of like led you, by the way, that's the fucking fantastic, right? Being around that population, you're going to learn how to interact with the law, legal stuff, right? That's just an incredible background to come from. But how did you like get into the activist thing and the third-party space, I guess? Yeah? Because that's really how
Like a lot of people, I was drawn to specifically the People's Party because I had this convention where they had a whole bunch of like left progressive speakers that came out were advocating for this group to like gain steam and momentum and to get out there. So, a lot of my favorite voices from the left were there that night. And, so Nina Turner, like Jimmy Dore came through, like people that I had respected from afar.
Me too.
And like, I wanted to contribute.
Yeah.
So being in the Albany area and being politically attuned, like I've always followed politics, like I've always been involved in that, like following it and talking about it. But I knew that anytime you wanted to do something in New York, you have to have a presence in Albany because you need something around the Capitol. So my intention was to start a hub here in the Capital District to get volunteers on the ground so we could go to the Capitol. We could walk up to somebody's office and knock on the door and be like, no, listen, there's 30 of us here. We need to talk to you about this legislation. Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing that? And I just thought it would be an important part of a political party within the state. I felt like if you weren't going to be serious in Albany, then like you weren't going to be serious in New York State. So I volunteered to start building a hub here, and my only intention was to do membership recruiting and outreach, right? Like I just wanted to get more people involved, funnel them to something to get them to do work and kind of organize that. Because my skill set throughout my life, even when I was independent contracting with subcontractors and as management in these group homes, like it takes a lot of organization and planning. So I thought I could apply that skill set to like managing a group of volunteers that would like go out and do things, like get petitions or go to the Capitol or make phone calls or send emails. Like a lot of these skills overlap, and I thought I'd be good at it. Once I came into the party, though, I quickly found that there was no infrastructure, that there was no plan.
Yeah.
And like I just said about my personal growth and my career and like my choices over the years, like I always want things to move forward. I want things to advance. I want to advance. I want to learn and grow and share my knowledge with other people. So
Okay, so that's a great actually segue to the next, because actually these questions are coming just a little bit out of order. Just so you know, the questions I'm asking you actually get asked of almost every single person that comes on the channel. So if you thought these questions were interesting and wonder how the people respond to it, you'll get to hear their answers too and compare, right?
Okay.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
But okay, so in terms of organizational best practices, actually from listening to your experience before, it sounds like most experience comes from the business world, and people in business, right, are paid, right? If they don't do it, they're going to lose their job, right? Volunteers, right? They could do whatever the fuck they want, right? So it's there's some differences there. But as in terms of like getting things done, right, from an organizer standpoint, people are in these organizations, and a lot of activist groups struggle with getting shit done, right? Yeah. What are some of the best practices that you've seen organizations engage in to be effective? Because everybody wants to be effective as an activist, right? They don't want to go out there and waste their time. Go ahead.
So there's two things that I've come to live by, and one is that when you're a leader, you don't just like dictate things and expect people to go out and do the work. Like every time I've asked somebody to do something, it's because I've trusted them to take on that responsibility and have that work delegated to them. It's never because I've thought the work was below me, right? And there's a fine line between like being a boss and being a leader, right? So like a boss will just like hand the work out, make sure people do it, and like there's no fulfillment there. There's like no incentive to do it other than like you have to because you were told to. As a leader, like you also step in and do the work, but understand that you can't do it yourself and you need support. So, you know, I've never in a position of power asked somebody to do something that I wasn't willing to do myself, right? And having that mindset coming into like the volunteer space, talking to people that have been here, the biggest reason that people get turned off is they feel unappreciated and like they're not validated for the work they've done. And I think that comes from people just barking orders and then, you know, not giving them a reason to feel invested in the work that they're doing. Like you said, they're volunteers, they're not getting paid. Their only compensation is how it makes them feel, right? So I think the biggest thing is to get people into the areas that they want to be in, support them and guide them to be able to do the things that they actually want to do, and appreciate them along the way. You know, if there's people putting in 20, 30 hours of work a week into your organization to help it grow, you don't just like brush them aside because they have a question that makes you uncomfortable, right? And that's where I come from as a leader, right?
Okay.
I want you to ask me difficult questions because I want to be challenged. I want to make sure that I am doing what's best. I want to make sure that I am working towards.
I appreciate that for real, man. I've been really impressed by this guy. You saw the build up. You saw the hype I was giving at the beginning of the video. I'm a big fan. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah. So let's take a look at. Once again, we're really concerned about effectiveness, right? So as activists, right? I know like you're not really so much in the field, right? Some people have been in the field for like 20, 30 more than me, right? Yeah. But what do you think are, right, just being politically aware, just looking around, what are some of the most effective things that you think activists can do?
So
maybe there's an example of maybe there's an example of the activist that you think was successful and they did something that was notable. That could be a good place to latch on to. Anything, right?
Yeah. So the thing that I've noticed as I become more engaged and not just like talking about what's going on is politicians don't hear from their constituents at all, right? The biggest impact you can have is picking up your cell phone and calling your assemblyman or your state senator or your congressman or your state level senator for the Congress and Senate in DC, right? If you call them, you are an actual person using your actual voice and sending a message. When you're on Twitter just tweeting, even if you tag the person, like that's not an official response from one of their constituents. If you want real change, we need organization to put those messages together, teach people how to send those messages, and to impact change on that level. You know, New York is a closed primary state, so unless you're registered as one of the parties, you can't even impact who gets the nomination for the party. So if you're waiting until election day in November to go and make your voice heard, you are not having the impact that you think you're having. I think that comes back to a miseducation about politics in general, but more specifically what parties do and what power the people actually have. And I think it's intentional. Like, I think they don't want us to realize how much power we have as the people. But my primary focus is to like educate the people of New York, the power that we do have, and start chipping away at the system from the bottom up, right? Town boards, school boards, city councils, county legislatures, the assembly.
Yeah.
Like let's get all the way up to the governor's office. And in 10 years, 15 years, I don't know how long it's going to take, but you know, along this path, we're going to be building this massive infrastructure of grassroots people that can be called upon to do many different things for us. They can come out for some mutual aid, help other organizations that are volunteering. We can have them come out and help people that don't have housing find shelter when it's cold outside. People that have food insecurity, which is a term that I hate because it's people starving, basically. So help people that are starving get food to survive. Like, all of this network and funneling people into the areas where they're actually interested can achieve all of these different things. And through all of these different measures, we're going to build a network of people that can go out and elect a governor at some point.
Hey, I'm with you,
and
man.
actually get progressive policies into office, you know?
I'm with you in that fight, yeah. So I have the next question over here is, so I know that sometimes people don't want to make like deities out of people, stuff like that. So I'm not expecting that at all. But sometimes people, when they study like activism or management or whatever, right, they have like certain people that influence their style or beliefs. Like, I like a lot of things that Jack Welch says. I don't know if maybe a lot of people think he's a jerk. They don't like him. I get it, right? Yeah, there's some good criticism too, but some of his stuff about being honest with people below you, right? Yeah, and being, you know, just having open, honest work environment. I believe in that, right? It's so. Or like activists, right? Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, huge inspirations for me. Do you base your activism, right? Or is there someone who's influential to your style of activism? You come from a certain school of thought, whatever.
Yeah. My integrity and values come from my aunt.
Cool.
She was my mother and aunt were twins, and my aunt, right out of high school, started working at McDonald's as like a cashier, and wound up as Northeast regional trainer. So she was like the head person across Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, and rolled out trainings to like all of the franchised McDonald's locations in the area.
Nice.
So she's just been my inspiration as not only a woman that rose to like such a high level in corporate America in the 80s and 90s when that was not typical, but also, you know, she very firmly believed in like what you just said. Like, you need an open, honest, transparent environment to thrive. If you don't know the answer, that's okay. But instead of pretending that you know the answer, you just say to the person, hey, I don't have the answer. Let me see if I can find out for you. And there's no shame in that, right? There's no harm in being humble and saying that you don't know everything. And
I agree with that. Yeah, it's cool.
And as far as activism goes, yeah, like we start looking in our history, the people that did, like, a lot of people don't realize that like Rosa Parks was like a planned activism thing, right? Like, they just think it was like a woman who got on the bus and was like, well, I'm not moving to the back of the bus. No, like, it was planned and it was orchestrated. It was the right time. It was the right person. These things don't happen by mistake. And we need to facilitate those changes now, right? We need to figure out what our means of attack are, what's going to be effective, what's not, and set it up for success instead of failure. And well, when you start talking about like Malcolm X and MLK, if you had one of them but not both of them, civil rights would still be a battle that's waiting to like get signed into law. You need to have both sides of that same coin, like nonviolence and violence. You need to have good cop, bad cop. You need to have two different methods of playing people, right? Like,
contingencies, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I want to hear yours. Yeah, I agree. Fine. I agree 100%. Yeah, contingencies, right? Yeah, if one plan fails, people are like, they have nothing to back them up. Yeah, you're right. I agree so much. Oh, I'm a big fan of this guy.
Yeah, because I mean, just think of like Black Panther standing outside of a church with like AK-47s is one image, but also like in Selma, Alabama, like if you didn't have the other image of fire hoses being blasted into people's faces when they were just sitting on the ground, I don't know how that movement moves forward, right? You need both of that.
Yeah.
And we're at a point again where we need to get people to stand up, fight for what's right, take care of each other, and to do the work, right? Like, it's easy to feel defeated, that like it's hard to change the system. Well, it's intentionally hard to change the system. They've structured it this way. Right. They depend on us giving up and not fighting the fight. So once we realize that we do have the numbers, we just have to get the education out there and show people the way to move forward. And I think this is a unique time in American history where there's so much dissatisfaction with every level of government. There's so many people that can't quantify what's wrong, but they know something's wrong. This is the time to get a new party going, to give an actual different voice to people that want one. And if we miss this opportunity, we're not going to see any change. We got to seize it right now.
It sounds like you almost kind of answered the next question, right? Which is like, how do you see things as like, how do you see the current situation, right? Yeah. So I think that was pretty much answering that, because that actually kind of leads to my, well, I'm going to ask you about your information, and then I'm going to go to the closing, right? So the thing is that, look, you're a fucking cool as shit guy, fucking big fan, right? Do you have like social media? You got a website? Can people follow you? How can people find out more about you and follow your journey?
Yes, so I do have a Twitter account, and people can follow me there as I'm starting to do a little bit more activism here on the ground in New York. My Twitter handle is KJF_NYPA. I'm helping a group called United People's Assembly that has come out of the ashes of MPP, the People's Party, and how they've treated their volunteers. The one thing that they did that was kind of foolish, they got all these people that were highly motivated as activists and organizers into the room and thought that we wouldn't speak to each other, I guess. So as they've shut us all down and kept us from doing the work, we've decided to move past them and start doing this work on our own.
Yeah.
We're going to build an organization that helps facilitate nonprofit organizations spinning up and doing what they want to do. We're going to help new parties spin up across the country. And, you know, we're not here to create one new major party. We think this should be a country with 5 or 6 or 7 different parties, right? So we're willing to help provide infrastructure and facilitate the growth of parties in the state. Even if we've already got one in New York that we're helping, we would gladly help with resources to get another one going too, because unlike People's Party, we think more voices are better than less voices. So even if we don't agree on everything, we want more voices in the political arena to get more people engaged, to get more people active, to actually make change. So, you know, you can follow me at KJF_NYPA at Twitter. And then we have UPA_US, which is the United People's Assembly official Twitter account. I'm helping build the website over there. I'm helping get our party going here in New York. So sometime before the end of March, we're going to start a big push here in New York to grow our membership, start spreading out into working groups to get things done here. And, you know, unfortunately, this year is probably not a good year for us to get candidates going. But there's nothing stopping us from starting the work of building the infrastructure to be ready for the next big election cycle. And that's kind of where my sights are set, 2 to 4 to 6 years down the road of having a viable organization here in New York that provides a real progressive voice from the left that can challenge the Democrats and the Republicans at the highest level of the state.
You have this great way of like predicting my questions and answering them before I even get to ask them, because the question right before is, right, I would ask you about what the state of the current situation is, and then I ask you what your future plans are so you could address that, but you basically already did that. Great job, Keith. I'm a huge super fan. That's this interview. This is the Online Activist series. You guys check the other interviews out there, all like asking very similar questions. You guys can get that perspective. We're about to head into another interview right now about the shit that's popping off in New York City. That's going to also be a hot episode. Stay tuned. I'm going to take a quick break on this video. Yo, this is some hot shit, though. Yo, check this guy, Keith. He's the real fucking deal. What's up? Yeah? Enjoy.
It's a dark day in our nation when high-level authorities will seek to use every method to silence dissent. The truth must be told.
And if you want the truth, you need to check out independent media producers just like myself, DJ L7. You should subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications when I release a new video.
Truth of these
We are
words
on all
is
the
beyond
major
doubt.
platforms. That includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. Unfortunately, we have definitely seen that these mainstream outlets will cave to corporate interests, so we encourage you to join our independently moderated communities of Reddit and Discord. We also encourage you to subscribe to us on BitChute and Dailymotion so you can see the content that YouTube doesn't want us to let you see. Hey, now it's time for the most important part of the video. That's right. It's time for us to tell you about the Taking Action Group. Do you need an activist? Or maybe there's no activists around willing to help you with your cause and you need to learn to become an activist. That's exactly why we're here. Every week we get it with people from across the nation, in fact even sometimes internationally, and we develop strategies and a game plan to address the issues that are affecting all of us. Every week myself from New York City and of course my co-host Lisa from Los Angeles provide a coast-to-coast perspective on what's going on in the country. If you want to donate to help out with expenses, travel, equipment, stuff like that, then I definitely appreciate it, and you can hit us off at Venmo or PayPal. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, we also have a merch store, so check it out. Oh my goodness, it seems like you've reached the end of the video, so make sure you check out some of our other videos, make sure you subscribe. This is your last chance to do so thanks a lot, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below if you have any questions or issues you'd like me to address. And if you're an activist, the time to make things happen is now.